Here's what I typed in chat. Hey everybody, it's Grand Commander here, and welcome to the second stream of reading the Story of Equinox, revised version, until I need to leave my house. So I'm doing streams of these, that way I'm not bound down to just, one scene at a time or whatever, because I don't really know how long I'm going to be reading for. Alright, so if you didn't see the last stream, go back and watch. But if it's been a while since you've seen the last one, then let me refresh your memory. Ejaculative. Went to Beagle, worked on Beagle for a little bit, and then got exiled to this planet called Hell, or Osgen as it's known, and he is now looking for a cure to the disease that killed the one he loved, Jennifer. So he's working on it with a bunch of scientists, and that's basically it. Yeah. Cool. And every scene is by a different person, so make sure that when I say the scenes, you're paying attention, because otherwise you're going to be like, who's talking? And Jack now needs to go to Umbrica to find an orange Umbrican royal for blood. Okay. Scene 6. Aztraya on Beagle. I walked out onto the balcony of my small house. I sat down on my purple outdoor couch and looked at the sun. A call came through my hologram device. I answered. Did you do it, Traya? My dad asked. He wore a large red cloak as to not be seen while doing shady business. Yes, I told him. I knew he had his doubts, and still probably did. He probably did not believe me. I sent him to Osgen, like you and I agreed on. He left more than a week ago, I told my father, sending him video proof via a communicator. Did I do the right thing? Good, Traya. Thank you for following through. Do you think he knows he's been set up? My father asked me. Yes. He's very smart. I think he figured it out when he was in the interrogation room, I said to him quickly, without hesitation. He looked me deep in the eyes as he rolled his hood back a little and said, I know this has been tough for you. I'm so proud. And you will be heavily paid for this. Meet me tomorrow night at Roglin's diner in the lower subway district. He then ended the transmission. The next day, my father waited for me at the small diner down on the main stretch. I walked through the door. Thank you for dinner, Father, I said, with great respect. Do you know why we had to exile him? He asked me. No, I thought we had to because he was collaborating with the Neo Chanja, but we couldn't prove it, I told my father. Oh. Yeah, that isn't the reason at all. I was hired by a man more powerful than me. Trajeki and Forbidden referred to him as God. He told me it had to be done to protect the universe. So, in essence, we are heroes. Yet no one will ever know what we did, he told me. I was proud of what I had done. We ate in silence for the rest of the meal, before we left and went our separate ways. Alright, so you found out a little bit more about Traya. She's the Queen of Beagle, as it said in the previous scenes. And yeah, just a really quick little thing there so you get some context. So she didn't have to exile him. She knew it was wrong. And, yeah. And you kind of get a feeling of who the man is who exiled him. But it never fully says, straight out. So it's kind of relying on your skills from earlier in the book to see if you were paying attention. Because it did outright say who this person was. And they messed around a little bit with the worlds. Alright, scene 7 as Jack in space. I awoke on the 18th day to a beautiful sight. Before me sat the biggest terrestrial planet. At 3 times the size of Jupiter, Umbrica was looking at me with all of its glory. There were seas of blue and red grass too. There seemed to be several jungles spread throughout the world with green-leaved trees. My hologram device crackled. I then heard some English come out of a creature I knew shouldn't speak English. Land your ship now, the Umbrican said, replacing all the A sounds with a V. So I guess it'd be, land your ship down now. I did as I was asked. Stepping out of my fighter was nerve-wracking. There was a 4-legged creature looking at me. It was a man. Come here, human, he said. As I walked closer, I could tell that his 4 legs all ended with a point. He watched me as I slowly moved toward him. Then, I got a good look at his reptilian head. I noticed how the nose sat higher than the eyes by a little bit. Like an alligator, I think. At this point, I was right in front of him. Had these large spikes hanging from from tiny fingers. Jack Latif, you've come to see me? I'm honored with your presence. We don't have much, but you're entitled to everything you want, he said, recognizing me now that the shadows no longer dance across my face. I need something you will not give so easily, I told him. What is it, Jack? He asked, thinking it would be such a trivial thing. I'm working on a cure for the neurogen disease, the one that took Jennifer, my one true love, I said to the Umbrican man. And? He said impatiently. I need a descendant of you for blood samples, I told him quickly. Do they have to go with you? He asked. Unfortunately, yes they do, I said. I see, he said as he walked out of the room to ponder. Guards stood me up and escorted me to a room where I would be sleeping for the night. The castle next door seemed to be made from riches. The Orange Umbricans must have a mining empire. I slept peacefully through the night. The next morning, I awoke to a guard opening my door. He wants to see you in the throne room, the guard said to me. He escorted me down after I finished getting dressed and put on my leather coat. I'm sorry, sir. I never got your name, I told the king. Oh, my apologies. My name is Lugdons, he said to me in a loud but kind voice. I will hand over my only daughter, Naomi. She is special to me as all of my children are. I want her back right away, he said to me. Thank you, Lugdons. That means the universe to me. I would treat her with respect, I told him as I took his beautiful daughter's hand. I did notice how she had the same claw structure. We boarded my spaceship and prepared to take off. I was able to direct the ship differently this time, so we could take a different route altogether. It only took us 17 days to get home to Osgen. Did I just call Osgen home? Mala, we got her, I said aloud as I entered the cave with her in my arms, bridal style. I set her down on the hologram table in the middle of the entrance. Mala quickly drew blood from her. Several weeks passed of us working on the ship to make it faster and the cure for diseases. We got it, Jack, Mala exclaimed. I ran inside and looked at the 5 fully synthesized vaccines that sat in front of us. How do we test it? I asked. Simple. You go jump Naomi back home tomorrow, and then you go to Jennifer and inject her with the chemical agent. Just remember that there could be side effects we don't know about. He told me. Naomi, go get your stuff. We leave in 10 minutes. I yelled happy that this was really happening. After several seconds of no reply. Naomi, you okay in there? I asked before opening the door to her room. She was gone. I ran out of the cave until I found a gold shirt that belonged to Naomi, lying on the ground. I ran a bit further in the same direction. She laid there, silent. Naomi, I said silently. I noticed her legs were spread wide, and clear liquid lay around her. I picked her up and took her back to the cave. Mala. She was taken by the Uton Raiders. I told him, as I put her in the chamber that would keep her from rotting until we arrived back at her planet. I got in my spaceship with Naomi's box, and we took off. The glow of the planet Osgen left a red trail behind the ship as we opened up warp to light speed. On the 8th day we arrived. Not yawning all morning until I go to do a video. Man. I got on my spaceship with Naomi's box and we took off. The glow of the planet Osgen left a red trail behind the ship as we opened up warp to light speed. On the 8th day, we arrived back to her home world and the place where I would most likely be killed by her father. We were escorted down to the landing bay again. I walked out of the ship. He's in a meeting right now, a guard said. I grabbed Naomi out of the box in the back of my fighter and proceeded to carry her to the outdoor meditation spot that I had noticed last time I was here. Her father would have to meet me here. I paced while keeping her in my arms. Her father arrived at the new meeting grounds. 3 guards escorted him out. They were all holding missile launchers. The only difference between these and other ones I've seen is that these don't explode. Put my daughter down, Lugden said to me. I slowly put her down. I is the only word I got out before he interrupted. Stand your weapons! Mark! Fire command! Fire! He said as his troops followed his orders. I dodged all the projectiles. I saw in the pocket of my coat that I had the new chemical agent in a syringe. Maybe it had some healing effects we were unaware of. Stand your weapons! Mark! Fire command! Fire! He yelled again. His troops followed through once more. First one dodged, then second. I did it! I was done backwards. I had missed one. The third one grabbed my face by the lower part of my jaw and took me with it to the small hill behind me. I sat there for about 4 seconds. I took out the syringe, pulled off the cap, and injected it into my gut for a quick release. Everything went dark. My breathing stopped. I lay dead in the meditation zone of the Orange Umbrican's castle. Hey, that's the book. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. Yeah. Act 2. This is before scene 1. So Act 2. A being more powerful than any other was drifting through the wall of dimensions. He knew all of the languages for all of the people, and all of the people on the planets. He knew the beginning of the universe as well. He knew everything. Grand Commander Equinox, it's time, a voice told the lizard-headed creature. He was close to 14 feet tall as he stood on his long legs. His legs ended in 3 toes, 1 in back and 2 in front, and each of those had a nail that he walked on. The front 2 nails appeared about 5 inches in length and the back one about 14 inches long. His body was slender, as were his arms. He had 5 nostrils next to the eyes for use in hunting prey. 7 long horns adorned the top of his head. His teeth came to a point and could easily puncture a man's torso. 3 fingers like he had his toes, 2 in front, 1 in back to grip. Each of them were equipped with nails that came to a sharp tip, where he could easily use them to break into a human skull. His toes twitched as he stood on them. "I've been summoned?" he asked the voice. "Yes, is all the voice got out," before the Grand Commander Equinox interrupted. "Jack Lativ," he said. Then he disappeared. Scene 1. As Jack on Umbrica. I stood up from the ashes. I looked at the king as my face started to heal. Then, I was looking at the sky. My neck had rolled. My body slowly shifted between human and whatever he was. I spread a nice tail that sat in front of my head. It had a pincher on the end that could easily cut a person in half, or pick fruit off of a nearby tree. I turned my body into darkness and became his disciple. I would be used for his cause, and we would together make the universe a better place to live. Then, I noticed I slipped backwards into his subconscious and was no longer in control of my own body. Instead, I watched everything that would ensue. "Bow to me, for I am the Grand Commander Equinox," I said it in the lowest tone that any being has ever used. The Umbricans bowed and then kneeled. "They are going to kill you," a voice said to me as I walked towards the Umbricans. "They want your head on a stick. They're out to get you," a different voice said. I stopped dead in my tracks. "Stop talking to me!" I yelled. I collapsed to the ground. I started swinging my arms in fury as several more voices all told me that I was going to be killed by these men. I accidentally hit the kneeling Umbricans when I was swinging and killed all of them. "No witnesses. You know the drill," another voice said to me as I stumbled again. "Get out of my head," I told them as I scratched my large head. Blood dripped down my face and over my eye. I couldn't get far into my head, though, unfortunately. I started ramming my head against the ground, making it shrink under the pressure I was able to put behind my head. I ran forward as far as I could before I stumbled again. A small communication device sat on my lower forearm. I activated the signal. I continued, eliminating anyone who noticed me. "All of you will pay. Nothing will be left of this castle when I leave," I said as I sprinted down corridors and lifted people with my tail and threw them at the people behind me. "Stop," an Umbrican said to me before my knee entered his throat and pushed him into the ceiling. I hated everyone. "Fire!" yelled a guard as 6 of them launched projectiles at me. I grabbed one of them with my tail, and another managed to hit my gut. It stunned me for a second. I threw the first back at them. The one that hit me sat on the ground. It had not even hurt me. I was invincible. Just like my father. I put out my hand to choke one of them. Without touching him, his head imploded, and his soul lodged into my hand. Another projectile came from up high. I managed to catch it with my tail and snap it in half. The Umbrican ran. I jumped up to him, clicking one of my nails so I could hear where he was in relation to me. I noticed a small Umbrican standing next to him. "Is this your child?" "Yes." "Please don't hurt me." "I only meant to protect their king," he said swiftly. "I won't kill you," I said as I kicked his pathetic small child to the floor of the castle. "No! How could you?" he screamed in anger. I picked him up with my hands and cut off his head with my tail pincher. "That look really suits you," I said as I looked at his headless body. Rumbling emanated from the sky. I looked up. Hundreds of thousands of ships hovered over the landscape. A new space fighter appeared and zoomed towards me. I got in. It had a green protection field over the cockpit. 2 wings extended from both sides of the cockpit as well. The black suited me. I'd want to change my protection field to be red and a little more triangular. I took the ship up to the largest ship in the sky. "I'm home," I said as I walked out of my spaceship and into the large landing bay. A squad of men came my way. They looked a little like me in the and that they were the same species. Grand Commander Equinox, you have returned, the captain of them said, as they all bowed and kneeled before me. Take me to the bridge. I want to see what we can do. Also, don't let any ships escape. Can one of you read out the statistics of the ship so I know what I'm working with? I asked aloud. They led me to the elevator. I was following blindly. Then the captain started talking. I am Captain Taganon, and I am the commander under you, he started saying. I looked at him with wide eyes. You're no longer a captain. You are my second in command, General Taganon. I told the man who had large blue scales under his inset orange eyes. Whoa. Whoops. I have the wrong color there. Thank you, sir. We don't have long, so I would like to start with the analysis of the ship. Here's a small panel on the information I'm about to tell you. He shouted again. He had a kind soul. First, the ship was created on a planet that we call Dark Planet. The humans call it Shadow Plains in their legends. We are aboard the Unada, meaning strange shell in Dandelion, our language. This freighter that we stand in has an interesting material for the outer shell, fitting with the name. It is made of diamond fragments as well as a dark scale from a large beast on our homeworld. This ship can travel about 13 times the speed of light through warped light speed and can make a 180-degree turn in less than 10 seconds. We cannot actually land on any planet as we will not fit in a normal landing pad. The ship is 5 clicks long, which works out to be about 7 miles. Also, the ship is about 3 clicks deep. We have a massive bridge with several different main controls, as well as a secondary bridge which sits in the front of the ship. We have 7 main thrusters in the rear and a line of turrets along the main row going down the center of the ship. If you have any more questions, you can read the panel. I gave you that I gave you regarding the information on the vehicle. He finished. Thank you, General Takina. He looked at me and smiled. I walked to my command seat on the bridge and took my seat. Grand Commander, we awaited your return. What is the mission? A young war strategist asked. On the way up here, I gave a small syringe to a biochemist who was working on, who was going to make it spread through air transmission. We will then drop it out of bombs on every planet, I told the young man. Also, shoot down every ship trying to leave the planet. I finished telling all of the deck captains. Bombs are ready, sir, the biochemist said over our communication devices. Good. Drop them immediately. I want us in a grid. Everyone take to your positions, I said, holding down the activation button on my hologram device. All of our ships lined up. And began dropping the bombs. As we approached a small village, constructed mostly from stone and dirt elements, the indigenous Umbricans fled. They got in their primitive spaceships and took off, hoping to reach a faraway star system. We shut them down. Families were inside these crafts. I was happy to see the fireworks. After 20 days of bombing, we had hit every last inch of the planet. Where to next, Grand Commander Equinox? A pilot asked me. We will go to Ickley to take down the foes of secondary Earth, I told the pilot that asked. I walked forward to the large windows at the front of the bridge. I looked out. We had arrived before the rest of our fleet. A grassy planet sat before us. Large mountains covered the middle of the plains on both hemispheres of the world. With 4 moons, Ickley was a massive planet. It sat second from its sun, much like secondary Earth. We took our ship down through the atmosphere. Purple flowers and pink ones alike were flowing with the wind that was intense to start. Not to mention now that the large ships with powerful thrusters had entered the atmosphere. Strewn features sat around the base of the small caverns that had opened on the surface of the planet. Dark gray, wolf-like creatures roamed the wilderness, almost like the place had been untouched by a civilized species. The Ichliosans must have built their cities underground. Small indigenous species that lived under the soil almost reminded me of prairie dogs. Our ships reached the perfect height to aim bombs at the ground. We opened fire. As the first bomb hit, the once green grass turned yellow. Then, after several hours, I had noticed that the flowers in the grass had changed. The stems were no longer green, but instead a light blue with neon thorns to attract prey. The top of the flowers turned into purple and pink electric grabbers. There were small pink plants that I would name Akmarie. We dropped bombs on the mountains after that. The stone turned purple. Everything living and not living alike had Tarlangon DNA on it and in it. This controlled everything. My bombs would help create new species of everything, and could even change colors and textures of non-living things. I would be the god of several new species. The large, dark gray wolf-like creatures turned into a force to be reckoned with. Igmites. Igmites are large creatures who use whistling to warn prey of their existence, like a rattlesnake. With 4 legs, they can outrun a cheetah. Claws on its head allow it to keep prey in its grasp. These animals have an electrified tail that is used to stun predators or prey. Their tongue is used to the same effect and can even split into 3 separate muscles to latch onto prey and stun them in 3 different distinct locations. I want one of those creatures, I told my crew as I left the bridge and took a small fighter down to get one. I landed below. An Igmite walked towards me. I thought it saw me, until it turned its head and I noticed that it didn't have eyes to see out of. The beast did have 7 nostrils on each side of its head, and 4 ears on each leg, so it could hear everything around it. This was a predator, and so was I. Walking towards it, I noticed a loud, piercing whistle. I almost cowered and flinched. I jumped at it instead. It pushed me to the ground and slinked on top of me. It licked me all over with its tongue. I picked it up like a newborn puppy and carried it to my ship. This thing weighed nearly 500 pounds. Same as me. I put it in and flew back to my ship, landing at the landing bay directly below the main shaft that led to the bridge. I sat back in my chair as if nothing had happened. My new pet sat next to me and looked out of the windows at the front of the bridge. After we left Ickley, we hit every other planet in existence. There was only one more planet that ended with large purple mountains. Invelo. Ickley and Invelo would go down in history for the gorgeous purple mountains that covered a decent amount of the natural landscape. I thought of Osgen and Mala. As my eyes closed, I could see the beautiful planets in my memories. I had drifted there. I walked into the cave where we had created the cure. Mala sat there. He was no longer human, but a new creature. One that no one had ever seen before. He had already injected himself. I didn't bomb Osgen or secondary Earth. Time to go home, to Jennifer, I thought, as my ship arrived. I put Mala in there. Ship, take Mala back to my capital ship, I told it. I then used my newly founded powers and thought about home. About Jennifer. I reappeared on secondary Earth in a research center. Walking forward, I seemed to have shocked a few scientists working. Who are you? A female scientist asked. I am Grand Commander Equinox, I said, looking deep into her soul. I'm here to administer this vaccine into Jennifer Yoglitz. I told the woman. She looked at me. No, we can't do that, she said as I got into her face. I will do it. You can't stop me. So get out of my way or I'll kill you, I said to the frightened woman. No, we can't because she's no longer being contained here. Now please leave, she said in a scared voice. I reverted into my human form so I could once again look like Jack Latif. I hugged the scientist and I moved on my way. I would never truly be him again. I was the Grand Commander Equinox now. I walked away. I headed up the street aimlessly until I stumbled into a bar. Slowly, I walked over and sat ready to be helped. A young light alien came and sat next to me. She had beautiful glowing yellow skin and a pretty purple vine-like tattoo on her forehead. Her fingernails long, but not like my dark alien form. She was gorgeous. I had fallen in love instantly. I wasn't looking for love right now, though. Sorry to crush your hopes, but I'm not interested right now. I just found out that my long-lost love had never been properly contained after death. And probably will never live again. Thanks for the effort, though, I said to her. My own lover doesn't recognize me? I'm ashamed, Jack, she said as she stood up. Jennifer, I said in shock. Is it really you? I asked. Yes, she said as she morphed back into her old human self, letting me look into her eyes once more and falling more in love than the first time I had. How did you know I would be here? I asked her, still staring straight into her eyes. A man told me to be here at this time on this date, but said that he was not allowed to say why. She told me. I believed her. I've had the same thing happen from time to time with voices as I went on to tell her. We walked for hours before going to my house on the lake. Do you need a place to stay? I asked her. She wanted to say yes. I could see it in her face. I'm not, she said with a disappointed face. I'm actually in the middle of a lease right now and cannot afford to leave in the middle. And you don't work, she finished telling me. I looked at her for longer. Want me to walk you home? I asked, trying to get out of the awkwardness. Yeah, that'd be nice, she said as she pulled my hand and aggressively kissed my lips. Her tongue slipped in about halfway through the kiss and reminded me subtly of the egg mites. We left the house through the back door and took a nice walk around the lake. Oh, look at that, she said as she watched a couple ice skating on the cold, desolate lake. Her apartment sat on a large hill overlooking the lake. She had a great view of my house. I love you, hon, I said as I went in for a hug. She grabbed my arm and pushed her lips against mine once more. I love you too, she said as she walked inside. As the door closed, I noticed something on her hand. A ring. Jennifer? Are you married? I saw the ring on your finger, that's all, I said as I held the door open. She went back towards me and opened the door that was letting in a heavy, cold draft. You gave me this ring when we got engaged. But I think I missed our wedding, she said in a sarcastic tone. Right. So you used it so you wouldn't get picked up by other guys? I asked, kind of knowing the answer already. Correct. I only have eyes for one man. You, she said positively. I looked into her eyes once more and brushed the hair out of her face. I have to go home and see my family. I'll be back in a few days, I said to her as I closed the door finally. I walked back to my old house. Alright, that's going to do it for today, guys. We have gotten pretty far. We're at page 55. So, yeah, we'll do a couple more streams. And should be able to knock out part 1 in no time. I think part 1's like 90 pages, something like that. Yeah, 97 pages. Alright, and we are... Sorry, gotta make sure that... Alright. Cool, so we're on scene 2. So yeah, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys really enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Alright. I love you guys like your family. Bye.